have 4 kids here. Lovely. Easy for us to get together. That's all. I came back when Dad said he needed to be here. Was I going to come? And I said no. And then he said, well, I'm going. And I said, okay. It took me 8 years to really be accepting of it.
So about the time I left.
It's all right to be here. But we don't mix and socialize like we had in Gilbert. You know, I mean, we had lots of friends and sociables there. When we got here, we kind of just were here and nobody knew us and didn't care, and we didn't care. So I guess what we like about it is that we can just be here if we want to. Be couch potatoes.
And what would make it ideal?
To be here?
Where you're living now?
To get the house fixed up, new carpet. Somebody come and say, do this to the house. Blacktop the driveway. Put a back porch on that Mom wants. Other than that, it's fine.
Sounds good. How do you spend a usual weekday?
Well, of course, when we had the law office, we got up and took a shower and went to the office. Came home after 5:30 and had supper and watched TV and went to bed. Now, we just kind of are laid back. We still have office stuff to do, and I mean the days are full. We're not just sitting here, but got all the household chores besides the meals to think about, and we got to get the law business finished and out of our hair.
All right. Tell me about a typical weekend day. What do you do on a typical weekend?
Well, sometimes there's our weddings to go to, and we go to Mesa. Usually Saturdays were for yard work. We didn't go anywhere. Usually there's a ball game that Dad goes to on Friday night. And he let me off the hook about that for a long time ago, so I don't have to.
No, actually, he's not.
We went to a lot of Emily's games before, but not now.
I didn't actually start dating until after I came back.
How would you say you are different today than you were 10 years ago?
Slowed down.
Or in the Lord's house, he was the reason.
Well, 10 years ago, we were at the temple. So, different circumstances. And we don't do enough reaching out to people like we should. That's it.
All right. How is your life different today than what you thought it would be?
As I said, I never did project ahead much. I didn't know what I thought it would be. We just... I think we're people that are acted upon rather than call the shots.
What are some of the best parts of being the age you are today?
Oh, not being the age you are. It was fun all the way through, but we're glad that we're here at this age. We're definitely, we can do things or not do them. Go or not go.
What are some of the challenges of the age you are today?
Well, of course, the main one is the big C. But if that weren't so, the big challenge would be to get all these things done that we wish we would do. We are procrastinators of the worst sort. So it takes us a long time to get anything done.
What has surprised you about this phase of your life?
Having the big C.
Tell me about your time in the office, the law office with Dad.
That was wonderful. We, I think we worked well together. He was able to tell me how to do things, and I did those. And the nice thing that I felt about for him,
Those dishes are not clean.
they are clean. Tell her I ran the dishwasher.
I rub them so they'll come clean. Yeah, they're not clean. They're not washed. I do
Stop.
think they're...
But anybody that made an appointment, they either got help or Dad was able to say, "There's probably nothing you can do about this," and then he would help them feel okay about that. And they'd tell a few jokes and come out smiling. So it was very fulfilling, because I think that he helped a lot of people. And that was the best part. We met a lot of people in there. We were able a little bit to pass out copies of the Book of Mormon. I don't think anything ever came of it. But it was one contact. Somebody else can make the second one.
What was satisfying and fulfilling to you?
About the office?
Yeah.
Same thing, yeah. I was able to help him help the people. It was good. A lot of people were people that we already knew, but a lot of them were new people that we just met. And each way it was a good. It was our social as well as our work thing. It was good.
Tell me about your time together in Illinois, in Peoria,
Okay.
and the work that you did there.
First of all, about a year before we went, Elder Haight got in touch with us. He said, maybe, was it a year before or a few months? He said, "I'm going to be in Mesa on such and such a day. I would like to visit with you. Don't tell anybody you're coming, or why you're coming." So we drove down there, but everybody knew we were going. And Elaine drove around to all the church buildings to find our car. See why we were there. And so had the interview with Elder Haight as a preliminary to doing mission. And then he just said, well, maybe somebody will be in touch with you, maybe they won't. And I can't remember when that was. Ken, how long was that before President Monson called us? President Monson called us in January, I believe. And said, well, we would like you to serve mission. Don't know where yet. So I told him that Jana was ill with the headaches. I was her main caretaker, and that it was something I'd have to think about. He says, that's fine. And so he gave us a few days. And I can't remember whether we told the kids at that time or not, but at whatever moment it was, they all said, we can do what you're doing.
I was grabbing them with soap.
And so we accepted the call.
Put this one
And then they said, don't tell anybody till we announce it in the church news.
Yeah.
For heaven's sakes, well, hard to not do.
You don't need to do this.
So then the call was for, we were to be in Salt Lake or Provo at the MTC sometime in June, middle of June, I guess. So we went up there and visited with Adnaid and Leela and everything, and went into the MTC. And that was pretty wonderful because there were 90 other couples in this training with us. And there were 3 couples from Africa who were going to be mission presidents. We thought that was pretty amazing. And so then we arrived in Mission 1st of July. And that's when Sarah Udall was born. Was it, Ken?
Yeah.
She was born as we arrived in the mission, so that's been almost 16 years. But the mission was absolutely wonderful. There were already assistants to the president who knew the ropes. They were seasoned missionaries, as you know.
You're welcome.
They took us around to all the apartments and all the places where the missionaries were and we met them. And as we went around, Ken would ask the missionaries, where do you get your referrals? Many of them said, from Elder Pratt. Elder Pratt was really a go-getter. It was a little short bundle of energy. And he stopped everybody and talked to him and got a referral. So cute. And he later showed us a picture that he had of, before he came on his mission, there was about 30 guys. And they called themselves FMOW, Future Missionaries of the World. So cute. But
he's a seminary teacher now.
we loved the missionaries, and every month a few would go home and a few would come. We'd go meet them at the plane and instantly recognize them and love them and take them back to the mission home. We'd have dinner, and he would, before that, we'd get there usually middle afternoon. He'd send some out tracting with the missionaries, and some he would interview, and then they'd trade. Others would track and others would interview. And it was a lot of fun, and it was fun at dinner time because I would say to them, when did you decide to go on your mission? Some of them would say, I guess when I was 2 years old. I knew I was going on a mission. And others would say, I never meant to go on a mission. One of them said that he was 23 and he was playing in a rock band with long hair. And he came home one day and thought, I'm 23 years old. What am I going to do with my life? Am I going to play in a rock band forever? And there was a Book of Mormon on the coffee table. Dusty, he said. He picked it up and read a little bit. Turned some pages and read some more. Read for 2 or 3 hours in the Book of Mormon. And then called us Bishop. And said, Bishop, this is Matt Peterson. I think I'm supposed to go on a mission. He said, Matt who? And I said, well, how did you prepare coming in so cold like that? He said, well, I had to break off the friends and study. And he was a marvelous, mild-mannered, polite, wonderful missionary. Married one of our sisters when he got back. He had migraines. It was hard. It was hard. I think he still has them. It's hard. Another one was a girl that said, I didn't intend to go on a mission. One day I was in sacrament meeting, and she got the idea that she was supposed to go on a mission. She said, no way. So the next week at sacrament meeting, she got the same message. I don't think so. The third week, she got the same message and talked to the bishop and came. So they all had a different story and of their actual personal conversion. So it was fun to hear all about that and to see how they took hold of their missions and go. So it was just wonderful. And what we did, we zone conference every month. Was it every month?
Mm-hmm.
With how many zones? 4 or 6? 6 zones? And I took food for every zone conference for all the missionaries, because they, I didn't the first time or two, and they were supposed to bring their own lunches. Nobody brought lunches, so they were there all day long without food. And so I started bringing food, and I think that was good. We always, of course, were there with the zone leaders. And one day we were in Champaign, and after the zone conference, usually the zone conference went from about 9 in the morning till 5 at night, so we'd eat lunch and then we'd disperse, they'd go get their own food. So we'd all stop at the Burger King. And this one day in Champaign, we had eaten our hamburgers and we were on our way out, and with name tags on, and a lady was sitting there and she said, "Udall, where are you from?" And we said, "Arizona." And she says, "Oh my goodness, one of my brothers married a Udall."
Married to a Udall.
And so we checked that out, and it was his cousin, what's her name? That
What's his name?
married
Brad Perkins.
Brad Perkinson. And so that was really kind of fun to
And I said to
make a
her,
connection.
"You belong to the same church he does?" She said, "No." I said, "Would you like to know more about it?" And she said, "No." But I was a missionary.
Yeah. But it was fun to make that connection. In Champaign also, one of who was Brother Van Orden? Was he in a stake presidency?
Yeah, he was in Decatur.
Okay. Brother Van Orden, we made the connection that we're relatives because we have Van Ordens, and he gave us the history of the Van Ordens from 1600. That was kind of fun. So everywhere you go, you can make connections if you want to. But after we received the call for the mission, they sent us a box full of material to study. So we started reading the missionary guide, and it said, you talk to everybody, you reach out, that kind of stuff. So one day we were on our way to Mesa, and we were getting gas, and there was a car from California. So I went over and talked to the lady, and I said, "Are you just passing through?" And she says, "I was born here. We're going to build a house here." I said, "Where were you born?" It was a Mexican lady. "In San Jose." I said, "So was I." And, all we did was get gas and say that much. And I'm sure I told her we were going on the mission and what we were, and to check with the missionaries if they came by. That's all I could do. And then one day we were in Tucson for a court meeting with the water, probably. And Sophie was living in Tucson, and she had a whole bunch of traffic tickets so that she couldn't have a driver's license. And so I went to I guess it was a city, and there were several people. You had to take a number. So I took a number, and I looked around to see who I could talk to, and there was a girl with a baby in a stroller. So I went over and talked to her and looked at her baby and saw how cute he was, and I said, "What's his name?" And she said, "Colin." I said, "Oh my goodness, I have a son named Colin. How come you named him Colin?" She says, "Well, he was born at the University Medical Center, and I saw this person's name on the wall." And that's where she got it. And then they called her number, and away she went. So
you have a chance to tell her who it was?
I told her that part. but I didn't go any farther about the church or anything. But it just made me aware that you could approach anyone and make a connection. Didn't matter who or where or when. You could. That was a wonderful thing. Who's that?
Don't know.
And let me tell you a missionary experience I had.
Who was that?
Dina's friend, what's her name?
Oh, Jessica. Okay.
Jessica.
Hold on, Dad.
Same color of sweater too.
Okay, let me tell you a missionary experience I had. A few days before we left to go to fly to Salt Lake to go to the mission training center, I was coming home by myself in the car from, I think I'd finally closed the office down, and I was driving down the highway, and I heard the chains of hell rattling, literally. And I think I told you about this,
Yeah.
didn't I? But I've not repeated it much anywhere else. And I experienced in a matter of 4 or 5 minutes what it would be like if I now kicked over the traces and became a bum and immoral, whatever, that Satan would have his claws in me, and I would go to the bottomless pit, so to speak. I heard or felt or whatever the chains of hell, and realized what that would be like, and I said to myself, I don't want to ever experience this. I'm just imagining this time, but I don't want to experience that. I'm going to be very, very careful. And I think they were trying to discourage me from going on a mission or something. But that was a very real, frightening experience to me.
We made it.
When you say you heard the chains, what?
I don't know. I heard the chains of hell rattling. Whatever. I don't know. I can't put that into further words than that. But I had a glimpse of what it would have been like for me had I turned and gone the way of the world.
That's probably enough about the mission. It was wonderful, and everybody has a missionary experience, and we don't need to go into every detail, right?
Did I already tell you of my experience with Bishop McElprang? That ring a bell with you?
I don't think so.
One of the first things that we felt like we needed to do is go to every stake presidency and every bishop and meet them, introduce ourselves, and offer them our help. And when I went to the Springfield ward, which was the state capital, one of the biggest towns in our mission, Springfield was, and the bishop there was a college professor named McElprang. And so I called him ahead of time, made an appointment. I think it was a Sunday afternoon. He was through with these meetings. And I went in and shook hands with him and introduced myself. And he said, "You're not welcome here." I said, "Oh dear, I better check this out." And he was angry, not at me personally, but at what I represented, which was the missionary system. My predecessor had been baptizing people. My predecessor was caught up in in the numbers. And he was baptizing people that shouldn't have been baptized so the numbers would look better. And he said, "Your predecessor has told me, stay out of this, you don't make the decision, and I do, and I'll baptize whoever I please." And I said, "Well, I can't speak for my predecessor, but I can speak for me. I give you my word of honor, we will not baptize anybody that you haven't interviewed. Whatever you want to do, you can depend on us. We will not do that. You will give your permission. And so eventually we became pretty good friends, but we sure started off in a rut. Eventually he became the stake president of a newly created Springfield stake. That was after we were gone. I noticed reading it in the paper because it was an unusual last name. And there was what was the woman who kept bringing cake to regional meeting, and she always called this elder, whatever his name was, by his first name instead of elder so-and-so.
Remember that?
Well, it happened anyway. I can't anyway, he tried to get her to call him elder. She said, "Oh, you're not an elder to me, you're whatever his name was."
All right. I have more questions for Mom.
Okay. You have bitten off a lot more than you can chew here.
Oh, I'm going
We'll
to
see. Huh?
farm this out.
Guess you can figure it out. I
Yep.
couldn't.
All right. So you got home from the mission, and then what?
And then we had remodeled an old law office in town with Mark Bryce. And we had put up the money, and when we went on the mission, he was going to buy it from us. And we said, well, we don't need the money right now, so when we get back, then you can start making the payments. So that's what we did, and by the time we got back, he had other people in the office. So we had to make another office. So we remodeled another building over on, I think, 4th Street, catty corner from the 50 Market. And Ken had a secretary named Doris there. I guess had she been his secretary at the other one? She was so good. She was really good. And so he opened that office, and Doris was the secretary, and I didn't go up there for that. Once in a while I was up there. And one time we had been back to visit you, and we went up to the office when we came back, and there was a phone message to call what's his name? In Salt Lake City, Salt Lake number, 801 something, something, something. And what was his name? And so he dialed the number, and the answer said, President Hinckley's office. And Ken said, well, I must have the wrong number. And she said, who would you like to speak to? So he told her the name of this person, and she said, just a minute. And it was President Hinckley's secretary. So President Hinckley asked him if he were available, well enough, occupational enough to go to the temple. And he said, well, the only obligation I'm not sure about is that I'm serving as a judge pro tem from the state of Arizona. I'll need to check with them. So he says, that's fine, you call me back. So of course they said, well, you can be released from that. So he called him back and told him we could do that. And so moved on. I think that was in August, and we reported at the training for mission presidents in October and went on the 1st of November. Big shock. Couldn't believe it. So there we went. And that was, of course, a wonderful experience. We had 100 people at a time, three times a day, 3 shifts, 100 people each time, and then Some of them would serve a Tuesday, Wednesday, some a Wednesday, Thursday, some a Friday, Saturday, some just Saturday, some all kinds of different things. But there ended up 13 to 1,500 temple workers all the time. For each, let's see, at the second week of the month, it seemed, we met with each group during the day, so 3 times a day, and gave a message. 1 month the temple presidency gave it, and 1 month the matrons gave it the message. That was kind of fun, because I think it was John Peterson, who was his counselor, who gave the assignments of what we were to talk about. And that was fun, to research that and give your thoughts about those subjects. It was kind of fun. And then we, besides whatever administrative duties he had, we gave the orientation to the new people who were coming to the temple for the first time. And that was a fun thing to do too. And then we always went to the baptistry to give a little message to the kids that came to be baptized. So I had a whole bunch of little 3x5 cards with messages on, and when I'd given it, I mean, it was ridiculous, but that's the only way I could keep track and have something to say, a little 5-minute thing. And I still have that whole stack of messages. But it was fun to be there. And I think the thing that I felt interesting about it was that that we were among people kind of our own age who had been through, I mean, we didn't feel like we'd been through trials, but most of them had been through big trials, still ended up in the temple. And to me that was pretty amazing, for that many people to come there and do the work, along with all of their challenges. So that was very good. And they all had charity and love for everybody that came, and did exactly what they were supposed to do, over and over and over again. So that was the temple experience for 3 years. 97, 98, 99. We released in November 2000.
What was the most rewarding for you personally?
At the temple?
Yeah.
Oh, the humbling fact that we were called to do that, for heaven's sakes. Hundreds of people could have done it. It was such a great, opportunity. Feeling that you were you were relied upon, you could. So.
And after that was your time in the law office together?
Yeah. And we came back and there was room in the law office for us. Mark Rice was the only one there at that time, because one of the ones that had been there became the judge, and the other one became the county attorney. So he was there alone, and we were there with him, not as partners, but we shared the office. And then pretty soon, he was accepted to be the college president. And I think this was on a Tuesday that he got the word that he was it. And they said, no more law business. So he just walked out. And at least by Friday. He was supposed to be through by Friday. So I don't know what he did with his right then people. He must have called him and told him to do something else. He left all of his files there so we could pick up the ones that needed to be. And so there we were.
All right, now some more general questions.
Okay.
What do you really enjoy doing?
What do I enjoy doing?
Yeah.
Watching TV. That's where they get it, Mars. You know, over the years, I have not thought about what I would like to do because there was a time I didn't think. I just went along with life. And so I kind of have forgotten that are things to do that I might want to do, and I don't care. So Marcy plans the stuff, and we have home evenings and things like that, and that's great.
What could you not live without?
Oh, husband.
Favorite youngest son.
What?
Favorite youngest son.
Yes.
And daughter.
The
We're all you
kid-
need.
The good kids.
What would you do in an ideal day if there were no limitations?
If I weren't sick.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, what would I do, Marcy?
Did you go to the mountain?
Oh, I might. I might go to the mountain.
Or Cancun?
Or Cancun. Or the beach in San Diego. Oceanside. Those are good things.
Who would you like to see again, and what would you do?
Well,
Where's Dad?
I thought he was here. Who would I like to see again? It was wonderful to have our class reunions because I think your first friends stay with you forever, and you want to meet up with them again. So that kind of thing.
When was your last class reunion?
It must have been 2 or 3 years ago. Doubt if we'll have another one. So many are gone. Not very many around here. But it's okay. One of my good classmates called me yesterday.
Hello?
That was nice.
Yes. Hey, I'm fine. You ready for me to give you a report? I don't know anything yet.
Describe the significant spiritual points in your life.
Well, I told you about the
college is going to buy the whole thing,
up the tree with Ollie Farron.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that at some time in my teenage years, we sang the song "I Stand All Amazed," and it became very personal. So I think that my testimony was focused at that time, and I never wobbled. But I know also that it's not as strong as the teenagers these days. I didn't have seminary, and we didn't have scripture reading. But I guess you don't have to have those things.
Okay, what's your number?
Although if you do, you're better. So
I'll call you as soon as I know for sure.
the
Either way.
spiritual
Thank you
experiences,
for calling. Bye.
my feeling is that if you're trying to do what's right and you have the gift of the Holy Ghost, that you will almost innately make the right decisions. You don't have to have a burning of the bosom or some voice telling you that if you're trying to do what's right, that you will, because you have that power with you all the time. So I've tried to do that.
What matters most to you now, and how do you make it part of your daily life? These are tough questions.
I think she already knew what I was doing.
And I already said
She
that,
listed you earlier.
Oh,
so I guess that's it.
You're what she can't live without.
Right.
nor with.
What have been your dominant concerns in this stage of life, and how have you dealt with them?
I'm not going to talk about that.
Okay.
But,
She can let me talk about
at
that.
different
Can you tell me off the record later?
maybe at different times, we've been majorly concerned about Jaina, and have done major praying and fasting and everything that we could to help her. Majorly concerned about the times when Brooks didn't have a job, and it was so discouraging, and he was so down. And Don, the last few years, has been up and down and hard. And of course, Lena's little Jeff. And so anytime the kids are having challenges, it comes back to us. For sure. When Marcy was so sick with the 2 pregnancies that were so terrible, I can't believe that we weren't able to do something more for her. Horrible.
I made it.
I know, but we should have.
What goes through your mind on a wakeful night?
Oh, some stupid song that I can't remember the words of. That is the most maddening thing. About 3 o'clock every afternoon, this song comes in my mind and I can't get rid of it. And it stays there the rest of the night. It's ridiculous.
Can you sing us a bar?
No, I don't want to start it. Popcorn popping on the apricot tree, that's the antidote. No, at night when I'm wakeful, I try to kind of plan the next day, and yet that's probably what keeps you awake, so I don't know if that helps.
What do you need to feel content?
Enough money, enough food, and your dad, and you guys doing well.
Lately, what do you find yourself daydreaming about?
Being able to eat, getting the blacktop in, pulling the weeds.
Which sounds, sights, or smells set off memories for you?
Oh, I don't know about that one.
Okay. What comes to mind when you say, I can still hear the sound of...
Well, the Mexican men walking along the street strumming their guitars. Uncle Mel up in the top of the windmill playing his harmonica. Those are good sound.
What do you think you're still learning?
I'm still learning?
Mm-hmm.
I guess patience, endurance. But that's all just because of the sickness. Otherwise, I guess I've learned it all.
All right.
Or else it's too late.
Were there any turning points in different stages of your life? This stage of your life? Obviously
This stage?
yeah.
No. It was a big deal when we left the office and came home. So that's a turning point. But mostly we just went along with how things are.
What would you like to stop doing and why?
I plead the fifth.
Okay. More off the record stuff. Huh?
Yeah.
What would you like to start doing?
Well, that's part of the,
Okay. All the same thing.
yeah.
What are your strengths?
I can do tedious things. Your dad can't. He likes to make decisions and delegate. And I can do the tedious, so we get along pretty good. I answer the mail, keep the books, keep our daily schedule and routine, suggest what we do this day. But I don't know exactly what I would say about strengths. What are my strengths?
Okay.
I think I can't think of words. Adjust to things pretty easily. I used to have a Pollyanna attitude where things are okay, you know. So I think maybe that's a good thing. If you can't change something, go ahead and accept it.
What are you exploring? What's an adventure for you?
Well, I don't have anything right now. Used to enjoy doing things with your dad. Go to the ranch, help make cement ditches, all kinds of things. It was fun.
What changes would you make in your life to make it more satisfying?
Block out the big C. No, things are fine.
What has always seemed to come easy to you?
I don't know. Everything's easy.
Okay. What is something you could do for someone else that would give you the most satisfaction?
help my mother be happy. But it doesn't seem to be in my nature.
What feels unfinished?
That. And the blacktop.
All right, you have 5 wishes. They'll all come true. What are they?
5 wishes that you know aren't going to come true, but you wish.
No, they are going to come true.
Oh, they are going to come true?
They'll all come true.
Oh,
What are the 5 wishes?
it'll all come true. I'll get through this. We'll still be happy. The kids will all stay good. And the grandchildren. And John and Leslie will come around. How many is that?
You have more than 5 if you want.
Okay, that's good.
All right. As you look back on the life that you've lived so far, what are you most respectful of?
I guess the marvelous experiences that we've had. Fantastic. You know, we've had super experiences that not everybody gets. Wonderful. Your dad was well respected and loved as a state president. That was good. And then he did 700 or 800 patriarchal blessings. That was good. The law office was good. The mission was good. The temple was good. Just on and on.
Tell me a story from your life you've never told before.
There probably aren't any. Think of anything. Yeah, you know what? I've forgotten half of my life anyway, so it doesn't come to mind.
What do you have faith in?
Well, faith in our Heavenly Father, faith in the gospel, faith in, as your dad says, the best is yet to come, in all you kids. Actually, things are good.
What are you looking forward to?
Being able to eat again. A little normalcy.
Yeah.
And getting things in order so that I'm ready when the time comes.